Hey class, I've been complaining a lot about how much work I have to do and trying to figure out another option. I've been stressed, all this stuff, it's not working out. So I got a new idea. You know what? After these essays where you guys talked about these jobs that make all this money and have good lives, I start thinking, why am I a professor? What am I doing here? How do I solve this problem? Time machine. So you know what I'm going to do? Stayed up all night last night, putting together some stuff. I got this machine. I'm going to use it right now. I'm going to go back into the past and I'm going to... Andy, no, wait. What? It's me from the future. Listen. You can't use that time machine. Wait now. It's going to ruin everything. Andy, don't listen to him. This is Andy from the farther future. You have to keep using the time. I don't know anything about a time machine, honestly. I'm one of the clones from before. Remember the cloning machine? I escaped. Andy Prime over there, lying in a pool of blood on the floor, missed me. And you know what? Now that he's gone, I'm in charge. Let's study. All right, students. We're here today to talk about compound nouns and what they mean.
Count nouns, you
What's that?
big dummy.
Oh. We're here to talk about count and non-count nouns and what that means. So, I noticed when I was looking through your essays over the weekend that a lot of students had problems with count and non-count nouns. And as a first language English speaker, this stuff just kind of comes naturally to me, so I don't think about it much. But then I notice, looking at your essays, that there's obviously quite a bit of trouble that people are having. And so let's talk through it. Let's talk about maybe some ways we can identify our problems, and we can talk about some specifics, okay? First, nouns obviously are, what do we say, person, place, thing, ideas, something like that. The most basic thing is you can touch it, or, of course, abstract ideas you can't touch. I'm going to touch freedom. But anyway, we split them up basically into count and non-count groups. Count group means that you can make them plural, right? For example, sheep. 1 sheep, 2 sheep, 3 sheep, 4 sheep, something like that. Sheep is a terrible example, though, because it's not standard. Let's say carrots. 1 carrot, 2 carrots, 3 carrots, 4 carrots. Good. Of course, like sheep, some nouns are not standard. 1 mouse, 2 mice. 1 moose, 2 moose. Something like that. 1 ox, 2 oxen. But that's not really that important for us. We can figure those ones out. They're small. Don't worry about it. What we do want to worry about is knowing if something is countable or not countable. And of course, non-count nouns, to go on the other side. Liquids, something like that. Fine powders, something. Abstract ideas are non-count. You can't have 2, right? So 1 milk. You wouldn't say 2 milks, right? Of course, sometimes in speech we would, because if we say, do you want a milk, we mean, do you want a container of milk of some kind of cup? But so how do we tell the difference? In some cases, it's very easy. If it's liquid, it's non-count. If it's abstract, it's non-count. But in other ways, it gets more complicated. And this is confused by something that I would like to call, let's say, double nouns, where they're both. The most simple example of a double noun would be, let's say, chicken. Because chicken is a homonym for chicken. Homonym means 2 different words that sound the same. So chicken, the animal, is count, right? 1 chicken, 2 chickens, 3 chickens. Chicken, as a type of meat, is non-count. You only have chicken, right? You wouldn't say, oh, that looks delicious. Could I have 2 chicken, please? People would be like, what? It makes no sense. So that part's confusing, and how do we know? Good. Actually, there's some long rules here, and I looked them up online, and they said a non-count noun could be a mass noun, which is something like work or equipment or homework. Or it could be a natural substance, Air, ice, water, fire. But again, fire could be either one, right? There are two fires burning. Not a great example. Food, bread, milk, sugar. Okay. Abstract concepts. All right. Advice, information. Game, soccer, tennis. They're non-count. Good. Diseases. The weird thing about diseases is some of them already sound plural. Diabetes, measles, right? But malaria, something like that. Subject that we study, English. Sometimes it is plural, though. We could say there are multiple Englishes that people speak in Singapore. They speak British English sometimes, but they speak Singlish as well. Two different Englishes. Complicated. All right. Or some kind of activity, right? If we put ing on the end, swimming, running, jumping, they're non-count. But that's super complicated. So instead of doing that, probably what we want to do is make a simple rule. This is Andy's rule. I've never heard this anywhere else, and I think it works. Here's my rule. If you take an object, and if you break it in half, if it is still that object, it's non-count. So for example, you have bread. If you break bread into two pieces, it's still bread, right? Non-count. You have a quantity of milk. You separate it, it's still milk. There's no change, non-count. On the other hand, if you have, let's say, a spoon, and you break that spoon in half, you no longer have a spoon, right? It's some trash now, right? That means it's countable. If you have a chicken, the animal, countable. If you break that chicken in half, it's no longer a chicken, it's a carcass or something. Who knows what's left? But if you take a piece of chicken breast, and you break that in half, it's still chicken, countable. Or non-countable, excuse me. So, that's my rule. It's not perfect. Inevitably, someone will always say, but teacher, what about an eraser? And there are situations where this doesn't work, and that's because English is a strange language, and it doesn't fit, right? We say an eraser, which is countable, because we normally think of a unit of an eraser as an eraser, right? But the truth is, the material is the eraser. If you break it in half, it's still eraser. But so, that doesn't fit, though, because we don't use English that way, unfortunately. Still, I think this will suit you most of the time, right? Can you break information in half? Abstract ideas? Can you break freedom in half? It's still freedom. There's no half freedom, right? So they're non-countable. It works. So I feel like this is a process that will help you make the right decision. Of course, a lot of you in your essays have a problem where you will use a plural noun and then follow it with a singular subject. Many doctors work on a patient, to use an example. It doesn't work because what? There's many doctors, but there's only one patient? No, we need to change it. Many doctors work on patients. That makes sense. People use this too when they talk about, our lives. People have a dream. No, they have dreams. We need to singular and plural. Now, the next part that is important is we need to know what words to use in what case, right? Because generally nouns need determiners. We're going to talk about determiners later, but we'll talk about them a little bit right now. Determiners show basically what the purpose of using the noun is. The most basic determiners are articles, and the, right? But then we also have like possessive pronouns, possessives. We use different words, several, some, every, and these words are different based on whether they're used with count or non-count nouns. So, with countable singular nouns, we can use each, every, or another, right? Each sheep is happy in its own way. Every chicken is satisfied. I bought another dog yesterday. Good. These don't work with non-count nouns, right? Each sand each grain of sand. If we quantify it, then it's okay. But otherwise, every milk, no. Another water, no. Another cup of water, sure. Okay, with countable plural nouns, we can use different words. Several, a large or small number of, not many or too many. There are not many webcams in SUNY right now, so people are having a hard time filming. There are a small number of printers here, so I have to go to the 7th floor when I want to print something. Good. A few, or fewer. Now, we have to be careful with few, and I'll talk about it in just a minute. Uncountable nouns. You can have a great deal of something uncountable. A great deal of chicken, non-countable. A great deal of water. A large or small amount of something. I have a large amount of paper. Good. We can have too much or not much paper or too much paper. A little. There's a little bit of paper. Or little paper. Again, same with few and a few, little and a little we need to be careful of. And we have less for non-count, which would be less paper. All right, and some words that work with each of them. Some. We can have some printers and some water. Any. Do you have any chicken? Or do you have any chickens? A lot of. I have a lot of chicken on my plate. And I have a lot of chickens on my farm. Hardly any. I have hardly any money. Money is non-count, of course, right? Specific types of money, Korean won or US dollars, are countable. Good. Almost all printers, all chicken, all chickens. We can use no the same way. I have no chicken on my plate, I'm hungry. I have no chickens on my farm, I'm failing. None of or not any. Good. Now, one last thing before we move on, and I have class starting in like 5 minutes, so I have to wrap this up, I'm sorry. Little, few, a little, a few. They sound similar, but they have opposite meanings, and several of you have made this mistake, all right? Few or little means none, basically. I have little money. I'm poor. Or I have a little money means I think I have enough money to do something. Few means none. I have few friends. I don't have a lot of friends. I have a few friends. It means I have enough friends. So we need to be careful. A few, a little means enough. Few or little means none or almost none. All right, that's the basic overview of count and non-count nouns. I know it's quick. It's pretty simple. You can watch this again. You can Google it for more information if you want. Until then, have a great day.